Hi, it's Sally, and I wanted to tell you a cute little story today about my experience with Julia Child. A few months ago, I went to see the movie Julie and Julia with a friend, and we got talking about our experiences with Julia Child, and I had the fortunate experience of being able to actually be with her for a few days during our baking competition at King Arthur Flour many years ago. And I think she was about 82 at the time, and if you don't know, I'm not sure how many of you know that she was 6'2", so she's a pretty tall lady, but the most gracious, humble, wonderful, down-to-earth, classy person. She's just really, and great sense of humor. So my fun stories began when the PR director and I went to the airport to pick her up at Burlington, Vermont. We held our competition at the Inn at Essex, and all of the students baked off the recipes. So we went to the airport, and we realized that she wouldn't recognize us. We would know her, of course. So when we got there, we decided what we would do so she'd know who we were. Instead of holding up a sign that said Julia Child, which might draw a lot of attention, we put on King Arthur Flour aprons. And we stood there in our aprons, and everyone in the airport started laughing, and Julia Child and her assistant walked off the plane, and they knew exactly who we were. So we took them back to the Inn at Essex, and on the way there, Julia said that she had said to her assistant, even though it was a jet, they were smaller back then coming into Burlington, and it was kind of bumpy. So she had told us that she said to her assistant, "Do you suppose this pilot knows how to land this thing?" So she had a great sense of humor. There were many things like that she said during the 3 days we were there that were really fun. But she's just amazing, amazing woman. We'd be walking down the hall, talking together, and she would see a student coming with something in their arms, and she'd stop and go over and open the door with them. I mean, just such regular people, just a very, very humble woman, and very funny. And another thing she did that I got quite a kick out of, I was in one conference room adding up the score sheets for the recipes, and the judges were in the other conference room, and I would see funny notes on her little score sheets that would say things like, "Ain't baked enough." So there were a lot of cute little things like that happened. And then the last day we were there was a buffet lunch, and I was standing there talking to her, and next thing I know, she's serving soup to everyone that walks up. And I said, "Julia, you don't have to serve everyone. You can just sit down and have lunch now." So when we took her back to the airport, the last thing I said to her was, "Now, Julia, be sure you ask the pilot if he knows how to land the plane before you take off." And so it was really a fun weekend and 3 days that we spent together. And I felt very blessed to have the opportunity to have a few days to get to know her just a little bit. And she was absolutely a wonderful, tremendous person. And we love you, Julia. What can I say? Thanks. I just wanted to add just a little bit to the video about Julia Child. When I used to watch her years ago, I think many of us noticed that she liked to cook with wine, and she actually used to like to drink the wine while she was cooking, which is something I like to do very often, which most of you know. And I have this little plaque that my nephew Gregory and his wife Fernanda gave me recently, not too long ago, a few months back. Actually, I was just getting home from the hospital. They came whizzing down here to visit me when I had my emergency appendectomy. It says, "I love cooking with wine. Sometimes I even put it in the food." And this reminded me of Julia Child. So I really appreciate that from them, and I wanted to just do a little toast. This is to you, Julia. We still love you, and bon appetit.